It can wait. Hopefully we can begin right at 6:30. Also, a reminder to please mute your cell phones. We will be taking questions for the candidates. They come from you, the audience. So if you are ready with your written questions, please go ahead and submit them. We'll start in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Could everyone hear her?
Yeah. So they have those two, they have those two. That's fine. Okay.
This is going to be streamed, so you know.
Okay.
Those are microphones. I don't know how much they can move.
You probably don't have to move a lot.
So much before, Steve.
I haven't seen these before. No.
I think they're new, Steve, but, and also will be, you might have to be asked to speak up if people can't hear you.
Oh, I'm loud. People will hear me.
You have a good
fine.
Okay, I don't need that.
People in the back can hear them. People are still coming in. I guess we're ready to begin. My name is Lonnie Hartung, and on behalf of the Park Branch of AAUW, I welcome you all to this forum. The moderator for tonight's forum is Lynn Scalia, who's also of AAUW. She will give you instructions on how to proceed. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. We're here tonight to get to know the local candidates running for the open seats on the Park County Commission and the Park County Justice Court. From the June primary, the two top vote getters in each office will then move to the general election. The candidates are seated alphabetically by name. And just so that you know, also, this is being live streamed. And as Lonnie said before, you're the one you're generating the questions. So get those index cards and we'll want to hear your questions. So the candidates are seated alphabetically by last name, and starting on the audience's left are Park County Commission District 1 incumbent Steve Caldwell, Kelly Martin, Michael Story, and then we have the Justice of the Peace candidates, Bruce Becker, incumbent Linda Canton, and Brady Zhang. So I'd like to go ahead and remind everyone of the format for this forum. To begin, each candidate is going to have 1 minute to introduce him or herself. Candidates, you can use this time to tell us about your background, your position on any particular general big issues, why we should vote for you, or anything else you want us to know. After the self-introductions, then questions from our audience will begin to be addressed. We'll mix it up. There are a couple of runners around the room. Runners, would you raise your hands? Okay. They have index cards and pencils to distribute if you need them, and they'll pick up any index cards when you raise them up. The questions are then screened in the back to avoid duplication, and at times they will combine similar questions on the same subject. Remember that your question can be directed to just one individual candidate or to all of the candidates. And then candidates, you'll have 1.5 minutes to answer a question. You can also have a rebuttal. Any rebuttal answers will be limited to 30 seconds. One rebuttal per subject per person. Audience, if you feel a subject needs to be clarified, just fill out a follow-up question. Candidates, Priscilla Dicer right here is our timer, and she will track you. And
I think everybody's here.
and you can wake up. As you near the end of that allotted time, she's going to hold up a 15-second
I forgot them.
warning card. No?
I forgot the warning cards.
Okay,
I'm
maybe you should just like
Just flash,
wave your-
flash the envelope.
scarf.
Just flash a piece of paper and we'll know.
thing. I can't believe I forgot it.
That's okay.
Okay, anyways.
And then she will have an invisible stop card. And you'll hear the obnoxious buzzer go off, and then I'll say thank you and we'll move on. So audience, we ask you to hold any applause until the end of the forum. And so let's begin the self-introductions and then we'll move on to the questions. So Steve, we'll start with you.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks to the AAUW for hosting this event, as always. I'm Steve Caldwell. I'm in my second term on the County Commission, and I'm also the Vice Chair of the Northern Rocky Mountain Economic Development District, which covers Park, Gallatin, and Madison counties. Also the Vice Chair of the Custer Gallatin Working Group, and just joined the Finance Committee on the Chain Center. My background is, yeah, sorry, and I guess the microphones aren't picking it up.
And if you want to, if it's easier for you to sit, that's fine too. I don't know if that will help.
It's usually better if I stand, but I'll.
Yeah, the microphones will pick it up.
These are just microphones to record through Zoom.
Okay.
It's not going on.
But we have, I think there's additional microphones that we would grab.
Should be, yeah. I'll just talk loud. My background really is, for the most part, in mining and banking, and my history is partly with big companies, but mostly as an independent consultant.
15 seconds.
I'll save it for later.
Okay.
My name is Kelly Martin. Family's been in ranching, logging, sawmilling. I spent 18 years at the East Boulder Mine. This is my first venture into anything like this, so I hope everybody will bear with me. I thank you guys for inviting me. I hope to be able to maybe help change some things in Park County. If I should win anyway.
I think we're saying louder in the back.
And I'm sorry.
We can just pass this around
Okay.
for now. Do you have another?
Well, like I say, I've been in farming, ranching, logging, truck driving, first venture into political era. Just would like to hopefully help make things better in Park County.
Thank you, Kelly.
And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. I'm Mike Story. I'm born and raised in Park County. I'm off of a ranch in Paradise Valley. I've been running my own business since I got out of high school, outfitting business. I've turned to fighting fire with the Forest Service and the government for the last 25 years. And recently, the last 5 or 6, I became the fire chief in Paradise Valley. And I think with everything that I got going, the leadership that I'll bring to this county will help get everybody kind of on the same boat. Being an advocate for everybody here in the valley, in the Park County. Thank you.
Bruce Becker.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'd like to thank everybody here for coming tonight. These are important functions. Can I do that? Okay. These forums are important to get the public to know who we are. I've been an attorney since 1976. I'm sure a lot of people know me here. I've been involved with the Park County for a long time. I'm exalted ruler of the Alps, former. I'm involved with the Livingston Roundup. Believe in community involvement. Most people that know me know I'm pretty fair and impartial when it comes to my judgments. And I believe I can be a fair and impartial judge for the Park County Court of Record, Park County Justice Court of Record. And I welcome any comments or questions they may have me. But all I can say, thanks. I have information sheet out there that has more detail about my background. So thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Linda Canton, Justice of the Peace.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm Linda Canton, Justice of the Peace. I've been the Justice of the Peace for the past 15 years, and I really have been honored with that position. And again, thank you to the AAUW for putting this on. It's very helpful for a way for people to get to know who the candidates are. And I bring a pretty diverse background to the job. Before I became the Justice of the Peace, and that's all I did, I sold property and casualty insurance for a year. I was a licensed outfitter. So I have a knowledge of different kinds of laws, and also was involved in raising horses and buying and selling horses. Kind of a varied background to bring into the Justice of the Peace. And one thing I've learned is there's always 2 sides to the story, and you have to hear both sides before you can make a judgment.
Thank you. And Brady Zhang.
My name is Brady Zhang, and first of all, I'd like to thank Priscilla for reaching out with her email and the AAUW. I was born and raised here in Livingston in 1970. I'm 51 years old. I have a son and 2 daughters, been very active in coaching baseball, softball, football, basketball, really putting a lot of time in our youth. I am a small business owner here in town. I've owned my own dental lab for almost 20 years. I know work ethic, being a small business owner. Nobody gets the work done unless I do it myself. So with that being said, I'm also a certified process server. So I have been serving due process for the last 4 years. My wife is a certified paralegal. She worked for a defense attorney for 20. Is that time? Oh, I didn't notice the. Anyways, vote for me. Thank you.
This question is going to be for all of the candidates, and it's why do you want this position? And what are the problems that you expect to encounter? And Brady, we'll pick it up with you.
All right. Do we need to stand for this part, or do we just?
Whatever you want.
All right. Like I said, I'm a certified process server, so I've been seeing due process for the last 4 years. I really believe people need to be really starting to be held accountable for their actions. I believe we're born with an innate ability to decipher right from wrong, and I just looking at the way the things that have been going. Yeah, I just really think people need to start being held accountable. I believe I have a high moral value between right and wrong. I can be impartial. And yeah, I just want to do good for our community. Thank you.
Linda?
Well, I feel that I bring a pretty good history behind me of what I am and what I stand for, but I also want to continue on this job. I love the law. It's fascinating to me. It's interesting to read the opinions of the Supreme Court and try to apply it to my everyday job, which we are required to do. And the community is important to me as well. And I have been involved over the years, probably for 20 some years, as a big sister with big brothers and sisters. And that's been my major involvement outside of my job. I have been in 4-H in the past with kids that I sponsored, but I don't have any of my own kids to do that with, but I did bring other kids into it. It's just something that I really enjoy doing, and I feel like I do a good job for the community, and I hope to continue to do that.
Thank you. Bruce, you want to round it up?
Sure. Frankly, I don't anticipate any problems if I were to be elected. I practice law in almost every level of court in the state of Montana, including the Supreme Court. I've done some work in the federal district court. I'm well versed in the law. It won't be a training session for me. It's just going from one aspect of being an advocate to a trier of fact and giver of the law. I believe I have a lot left to give to the community. I've been involved since 1976 with the law. I believe I can be the candidate which would do a good job for the citizens. I'm fair and impartial. And people that know me say I'm probably too fair and impartial in certain things. So I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
So the question again, why do you want this position? What are the problems that you expect to encounter? Michael.
I've been looking at this position for a few years, slowly retiring out of the incident command system of the fire. And looking at this, it's just the next step of leadership that I believe I would be a very good candidate for, of working with the county. Again, every issue and everything, the commission is just born with issues and problems. So I hope to work on them, get where people are at least capable of compromising and seeing what we can get into the future.
Thank you. And Kelly.
I've lived in Park County for 68 years. I'd like to, I think that I'd like to see more transparency and communication with people. That's what I would like to bring, is more being attuned and talking to and listening to what people of the county would like to see what happen in the county. Seen a lot of changes through the years, some good, some bad. And I do think we need to listen to one another and hear what the people who live here would like to see happen, and hopefully figure out ways to make it more accessible to the public and let the public know what's going on. And look forward to ideas from people if I should be elected, and hope that I can get your vote.
Growing up, my folks were involved in leadership positions and our church and in service clubs, and growing up in an atmosphere where service was valued and where there was an obligation for civic engagement kind of became part of who I am. So that's why I'm interested in this job. As far as challenges go, we've got a very great assortment of staff and department heads and elected officials. And the problem we have increasingly is that we're not able to be competitive with the private market. And turnover is expensive. Costs of recruitment and training and retention are very high. So we struggle all the time with that. So I'd see that as being a lasting challenge.
Thank you. This question is for the commissioners. The county received a settlement from the Burlington Northern Railroad. The interest was to be spent and the principal never touched. The commission has dipped into the principal. When and how will you repay the quote loans? Kelly, we'll start with you.
Well, I was unaware of this, but I guess it comes from, like I said, trying to find new ways to involve the community, maybe generate money that doesn't involve new taxes and added fees for people. And I think that with the help of the people in the county, that these problems could be overcome and the money probably repaid.
Thank you, Steve.
That fund was actually a legal settlement that didn't have any conditions in terms of what it could be used for. The commission at the time essentially earmarked those funds for holding in anticipation of any problems associated with the landfill reclamation. And the landfill was ultimately closed some time ago, and we've been getting clean bills of health on that. So our rationale for holding it over a 30-year period when it's earning 1% interest don't seem very strong to me. And they didn't seem strong to the commission some years ago when we essentially reversed the policy that was put in place by the original commission and said that the fund could be, the principal of the fund could be used, but it could only be used for loans. And those are loans to within the county and within other districts within the county. And we have no concern about those being repaid because we control both sets of funds. And as long as we have the budget process in hand, we expect that those funds will be repaid out of general fund revenues.
Thank you. Michael?
Everything that happened in the past is kind of moot. And so asking how you're going to get that repaid, again, like Steve said, there was no stipulations of how, but I think looking through the budget and trying to work into the future is a better way to do than looking into what happened in the past.
Thank you.
Excuse me, there's people back here complaining that we can't hear. So we either need a microphone or you get.
Does it help if we stand up?
It does help, but
Okay.
it's still.
So why don't you take that microphone and everybody, yeah.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I haven't used these.
Okay, thank you. Next question. This is for the Justice of the Peace. Folks back there, if you can't hear, would you just put your hand up and we'll be watching? These are for the Justice of the Peace, and Linda, you're going to start this. Can you explain what are the duties of the Justice of the Peace and why do you qualify?
Okay, well, the Justice of the Peace handles all the misdemeanors that come into the system. And we also do what is called initial appearances on felony charges and set bonds and release conditions for those. We handle different agencies. We have citations from the Department of Livestock, Montana Highway Patrol, DOT, Fish and Game, and of course, the Sheriff's Department. I'm probably leaving something out there. But anyway, many different agencies write citations into the Justice Court. And part of what qualifies you is just a general knowledge of what laws are and being willing to learn. And things change all the time as far as what we do and different. And so it changes constantly. So being able to learn and being able to change course is very important.
Thank you. Bruce, do you want to take it from there? The duties of the job and why do you qualify?
Okay, excuse me. The Justice of the Peace is the primary court for beginning criminal actions in Park County. They handle misdemeanor jurisdiction. They do have some felony jurisdiction if somebody's incarcerated. You set preliminary hearings, which is a way to get the court, the misdemeanor or the felony case transferred up to district court. There's also civil jurisdiction. They handle a misdemeanor, small claims courts civilly. Again, I've been an attorney for 76 years, no, since 1976. Since 1976. And I'm familiar with all aspects of what courts do. I've seen good judges, I've seen bad judges. And hopefully from that, I can determine, take care of my own situation and become a good judge. I've been nominated and appointed as judge pro tem for both the city court and the justice court, which basically means as it sits now, if Linda were absent Sunday, I could come in and sit in her place and handle the case before her, as well as Judge Happy in the city court. So I'm qualified. I know the areas of expertise that I need, and please vote for me.
Thanks, Brady.
To be honest with y'all, I really don't know if I have the qualifications for the position other than I have youth and ambition on my side. I'm ready and willing to learn. Like I said earlier, being a process server and having a wife that has been in the defense side and the prosecution side for over 25 years. I've seen a lot of different things. I do know that the Justice of the Peace does handle misdemeanor and felony. I believe it's under $12,000 before it goes to district court or something.
15,000.
15,000
for civil cases.
For civil cases. And that they handle citations through like the Fish and Game, HP, Sheriff's Department and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm still young. I'm ambitious. I have a lot of time left in my hands and I am ready to get to work and learn as much as I can and hopefully clean things up. So that's where I'm at right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to combine a couple of these about zoning. This is for the commissioners. We want to hear what's your position on zoning issues and where do you stand on the current county zoning drift proposal? I'll stop there and then I'm going to have one more follow-up. So what's your position on zoning? Where do you stand on the current county zoning draft proposal? Draft proposal, not drift. It's like, what's the drift? We'll start with Mike.
This county has had zoning and regulations for a long, long time. I think what's going on now needs a lot more people, needs a lot more diverse people into the groups to look at it and decide what's right, what's wrong. Looking at the county, looking at all the no zoning signs and asking people what they think about zoning has got a lot of different answers. People think of it in different ways everywhere I look. I think it needs to be more transparent what people are doing with this new zoning. What are they calling it now? The agriculture and residential preservation. I think that's way too subjective of what they're looking for, what they want. I think we need to put down exactly what we want or not. And I think it really takes the voters, it takes the constituents, and it takes anything that needs to be regulated to a closer area. You can't just zone everything outside of Livingston or wherever into one spot and tell everybody that's how it's going to be.
Thank you. Steve,
Let me I'll try to answer the questions simultaneously. I think Mike was on a good track on that. I do agree with Mike that there's a wide variety of speculation as far as what we have out there in terms of a proposal. A lot of the folks who have very strong positions on it, it's pretty clear they haven't actually read it, and it would be really helpful to us if they would read it. But I think there's also some misconceptions about what this proposal is intended to do. And it's not intended to solve every small conflict among neighbors, but it is intended based on the exclusions that we have in place as far as our residential and agricultural being excluded and the thresholds for materiality that are in place. I'd be really surprised if more than a tiny fraction of the county is ever affected by this one way or the other. And I believe that of the few who are affected, they probably stand more to benefit than not. I think what we have in place is a good start. I think it's a good draft. I support the concept, and we do need, though, to hear from folks who are in the position to do themselves a service of informing themselves, so we could have some informed comments. And the public process has begun, and we will have a couple of hearings with the planning board in July. And then if they have a recommendation to us, we'll have 2 more hearings in August at the commission. So
thank you.
thanks.
Kelly?
I agree with Mike. I'm not necessarily in favor of the zoning. Also, that, like Steve said, that it'd be nice if more people knew more about it, including myself. What little I've read of it, some of it seems pretty broad, like noise and smell and things like that. But I haven't seen anything that dictates what that noise or smell or that is. And I think that it needs to be much clearer and needs to be got out, flyers, something, so that more people know about it. Because I know a lot of people don't read the paper. I didn't get the paper myself. There's a lot of people, family members and other people that I've talked to as I've gone around that don't do Zoom and computers and have iPhones and whatnot. So I think a better job needs to be done of getting these things out to the public so they know what's happening and can feel confident in what's going on. And I don't think that's happening right now in the system.
Kelly, keep that there. If you could start the zoning process all over again, what would you do differently?
Well, like Mike said, I think I'd try and find a more diverse group of people to talk about it. Get more of the residents in the county involved, ask for public opinion and comment. They don't even necessarily have to be on it, but be able to send input to somebody and tell them what they think or how they feel about ideas that are being brought up and what might be done or is already in place that really actually takes care of whatever the problem is they're trying to get rid of. So I just think more public involvement and commission's involvement and planning involvement with the public and being where people can come and ask you questions. I know years ago, it used to be there, you could walk into the commission office upstairs, and there was always a commissioner in there. And I think it needs to be back to that, where they're paid to be there and there for the public, and I would like to see that again. Somebody is there daily. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. You had it to do all over again.
I have a strong belief in personal rights, property rights. But I got to go back to any zoning at all. And I get a lot of people that say regulations and don't want anything. We've born and raised without it, but there are certain things we can talk about. So I don't say no to it. I just say we need to localize it more. We need to get everybody involved in what we're doing. And it's a complicated thing. You can't tell one person they can do one thing and then go across the whole county and tell somebody the same thing different. It's a tough deal. And I really, this is kind of a forum where we're all talking and you're getting the idea how we feel with zoning and property rights and things. But it's going to take a lot longer than this to solve these problems. And I would rather, if you got other questions, that's great. But zoning is something that we need to do together. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve, you want to take that?
I think Mike and Kelly have said it pretty well. The only thing is I could really add to what they've said is I think if we had led off with a rationale as far as what the purpose and the need of this is, I think that would have laid a better case for everything that came afterward. I think there's also, I think people need to understand too, we're not doing this just in a vacuum. And as we all know, this county is changing pretty fast. It's growing a lot. And, sticking our heads in the sand is not going to change that. We just need to find ways to accommodate to that change the best we can. But, the only thing I would say is that I think the public doesn't understand how many times we have in the last 3 years in particular heard phone calls from folks who have these conflicts and whose property values are being diminished and they're losing the peaceful enjoyment of the property. And I'm definitely sympathetic to that. And they ask, well, isn't there something you can do? And I have to answer, well, actually, no, there isn't, because we don't have any tools. And this isn't a perfect tool. It can be improved. I hope it is improved, but it's going to take participation from folks like you. So I certainly look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Okay, this one is for Justice of the Peace. Brady, we're going to start with you. Then Bruce, then Linda. Legal issues in Park County do not stand isolated. There is a great deal of interaction with social services and law enforcement. What support does the Justice of the Peace Office receive from and give to these agencies?
Well, at this time, I really don't even know where to begin to answer that question. I guess, just being there and listening and trying to decipher, the spirit of the law to the letter of the law, and just ruling in a fair, impartial manner. I guess that's about how I can answer that at the moment.
Thank you. Bruce?
So I guess I start out with saying that a judge is a blackboard, nothing written on it. Somebody presents a case to the court has to make a decision. And granted, in child custody matters, there's a priority because you have to deal with children that may be very vulnerable. It takes wisdom us all, I suppose, to resolve those issues. As far as support goes, I don't quite understand that question.
What support does the office receive from those social service agencies and law enforcement?
So I interpret that to be reports, not support. What we do as a judge or as an advocate, as I formerly was, present our case to the court and have the court hear the facts and make a decision. Sometimes these are what we call ex parte, which means the other side has not had the opportunity to appear. So in those situations, you have to probably grant some sort of order that protects the child, and then immediately or as soon as possible have a hearing so the parents or whoever is responsible for the charge can come in, child can come in and address the issue and then ultimately make a decision. Most of these cases will go up to district court. It's just a clearing station to work toward the district court resolution.
Thank you.
Okay, well, one agency that I do hear a lot from to come to court and will advocate for a victim of assault, and that's the Aspen group. And so they often will help people fill out forms if they want an order of protection or something like that. So that's an agency that interacts a lot with the justice court. Only in open court, though, they don't get to come to the judge off the record. They have to come to open court and state what they're looking for, or help the people before they come to court with forms. That's a major one that I can think of. There's other agencies. And as Bruce said, they submit reports. And again, you have to take those with a little bit of a grain of salt because you haven't heard the other side yet. So that's part of it, is there's always two sides. You have to hear the other side. And luckily, we don't, or I don't have to deal a lot with children other than in orders of protection or things like that. Most of it is in district court.
Thank you. This question is for the commissioners. Employers are struggling to recruit employees, especially government employees, in departments with limited budgets. What experience have you had in recruiting and managing employees, and what are potential solutions to the problem in our area of finding workers? We'll start with you, Steve.
Talking about a problem without an immediate solution, but I guess all I can say about recruitment is my background in recruitment is mostly in the private sector, so it's a very different environment. County governments, local governments in general are constrained as far as their revenue, so they can't really just try to earn more money so they can pay people more. We don't have that luxury, but one of the things that we could use in terms of being able to compete more is trying to do something about our housing situation. It's a two-sided problem because people sort of in isolation can really live on what we're paying, except they can't live on what we're paying enough to be able to pay for housing. And so it's sort of a mutually determined problem. I don't know how we solve that problem. There's a housing coalition that's doing some things that I hope point to something better, but I think that's the thing that'll make most difference is housing.
Mike, you want to take that one?
Yeah, that's a good question. And to start right out, I've been working with the government on incident command teams. Within 24 hours, I could have 500 people underneath me. Bringing people in and keeping people, recruiting people is all about the leadership. It's about being capable of doing the job you want people to do, being capable of understanding if you can't do the job that you brought people in, that they're going to raise to the point that they got to for the job. As far as recruitment, being fire chief out here in Paradise Valley, it's been a honor actually to watch the people come in and want to do things that we've had problems for years at trying to get a lot of people in, but it is, again, it's all about the leadership. If you can show them that the job they're doing is appreciated by the community and by everybody else, they'll stick around.
Thank you. Kelly?
Well, I've never been a recruiter. I've worked a lot of jobs. I think I have to agree with Steve, one of the big problems in Livingston right now or around the county is finding a place to live. I mean, there's jobs and they don't pay too bad. I mean, pretty much anything in Livingston right now is $15 to $18 an hour. But when it's $1,500 a month for a studio apartment and you still got your power and heat and groceries and gas at $4 something a gallon, it's pretty hard for a $15 an hour job to get it. So I think the housing is a big thing around here. And I guess that's one of the things that worries me about all the zoning and changing things and adding to permits, and that is it makes it that much harder for people to provide housing for people. So these are all things that are going to be a struggle, and it's going to take a lot of work.
For the Justice of the Peace candidates, what's the significance of being a court of record? And we'll start with Bruce.
Advantages are great. When I first started practicing law, there was not a court of record for the lower courts, which basically means that if the prosecution tries a criminal case in the lower court and gets a conviction, the defendant has an automatic right to appeal to the district court for trial de novo, which means you start all over again. You got to retry the case. Court of record, instead of having to retry the case, you record the proceedings, and those proceedings are then taken up to the district court. So you don't have to try the case again. The district judge will then review the record that's been made and make a decision. So cuts down the cost of courts by half and saves time for county deputies and city police officers. So it's a great advantage to only have to try the case once. It's been my experience in the past. Sometimes defense counsel use the original trial as a means of discovery. What does the state actually have? And they want to look at the witnesses and evaluate their case. And then that gives them an advantage when they go up to the district court. Again, the court system, we try to be fair and impartial. So the advantage is, like I said, you don't have to try the case twice.
Like I said earlier, I really don't have a lot of experience in this. Sounds like Bruce just gave you all a really, really good definition. Yeah, the court of record by keeping records of all that stuff so district court doesn't have to retry it. Sounds like a perfect solution. You know, like I said earlier, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and work hard and learn all this stuff and just be a really good justice. Thank you.
I think Bruce pretty well spoke to the advantage, definitely, of having a court of record. Is not having to retry it in district court, which also opens district court up for more cases on their docket rather than have to retry all the justice court ones. And they don't have to, or didn't have to have much of a reason to appeal a case up to district court for a trial de novo. And they did exactly what Bruce also mentioned, was that they would use the justice court case and trial as a fact-finding and discovery process. So they would know what the prosecution or what the county attorneys are going to use in their case. And so it would aid them in their case, their defense. It has cut down a lot on the cost for having a case appealed. We record it and make copies for the parties involved, and that's pretty much it for the justice court, and photocopies of the case, anything that we have that's paper. So it's a huge advantage as far as that goes, and it has probably saved the county thousands of dollars. We don't have to have witnesses testify twice, things like that. So
Thank you. Commissioners, commission candidates, this is for you. What are your plans to improve the rough county roads? Kelly, you'll take it first if you're
Of course.
elected. What will you choose? Then Steve, then Mike.
Who do you want?
Kelly first, then Steve, then Mike.
Well, that comes to retainment, I guess. Again, we need some grader operators that know how to run a road grader. I've ran heavy equipment off and on all my life. And in all honesty, speed on getting the road done is not what it's all about. It's doing it right, taking the time. And you can't run a road grader down a road at 25 miles an hour and get it loping and think you're doing a good job of grading the road. I've driven up and down quite a few of the roads here lately, and they are bad. And there's a lot of places there's no surface left on them. They're right down into rocks from natural rock. They need to be built up so they can be graded. You can't grade a mountainside. So that, yeah, I think that's a big thing that we need to look at in the county is getting the roads done and doing them right, not doing them in a hurry, but take the time to do it and do it right. And when we plow snow, I know the old grader operators used to be able to wing that stuff out of a guy's driveway instead of winging the driveway plumb full of snow, which is what happens nowadays, it seems like. So that would be a big thing, I think, is to get some good operators and do what we can to retain them.
Thank you. Steve.
Yeah, we heard a lot about roads these days. Some of it's seasonal. This is the time of year we get a lot of complaints. The roads subgrades have not been too far out of being frozen. So we're dealing with these recurring sequences of dry and windy, and mostly this year, mostly wet, which is, certainly a recipe for potholes. And but I agree with a lot of what Kelly said. I think that over the years, a lot of the grade operators have been basically just moving a lot of the surface materials off to the side. We're trying to pull all the material back and rebuild the roads. It's a long process, and this time of year, it's even more uphill. But I think people also need to understand that we have almost 900 miles of county roads and 8 full-time operators, and those county roads are spread over about 2,800 square miles. So we're doing the best we can. It takes us a while to get around the whole county. So we're getting there. And we also have some big projects we're pushing right now. We're trying to get a total reconstruction of Oak Lake Park Road done this year. It's going to be several years before it's all hard surface, but we've got a good start on it. We're also trying with some grant funding to do a complete reconstruction of Shields River Road. That's about a $10 million project. We got grant funding in place for about $8.5 million of that. And we're also looking at getting the southern end of Old Yellowstone Trail reopened again.
Mike?
This winter, when I did a lot of thinking about running for county commissioner, told a lot of people, my family, a few friends, and the first thing out of most of their mouth is, so you want to be in charge of all the rutted roads, gravel, and I laughed, but that's an issue, and we're gonna have to do whatever it is. The budget runs it. When it is, like Steve was talking, it could be different years, different things. Some years it could be snowplows and how much money's going into there. So this is all budget oriented. I would say that if you vote for me, I will look into everything we can to make things better on these roads and do it in a budget way.
Thank you. One more question for Mike. We have a question for you. What specific changes do you feel should occur in Park County over the next 10 years to ensure quality of life long-term? And what would you like to see Park County look like by then?
10 years, what would I like to see? I would like to see us all in a room, getting along, discussing what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. Every issue, every problem, I would like to have everybody involved in it. I really can't tell you what 10 years is going to look like. I get a lot of people, and when they talk about zoning, that they're for zoning because they're worried we're going to run out of water. They're worried we're going to run out of beautiful land. They're worried about all these things. I can't promise anything. I don't know. But I do. I love Park County. I love the mountains. I love being here, and I will do my best to get us those 10 years happily.
Thank you. It's about time for wrap-up statements. And so we've got a couple of questions that haven't been asked. So just be thinking about this as you have your wrap-up statement. For the Justice of the Peace candidates, you'll do your wrap-up statements. You'll each have a minute. One of the questions we have not I haven't given to you is if you had a friend who came into a small claims case, would you recuse yourself with the interest of maintaining trust in the system? So a wrap-up statement, and you can address that question or not. So let's start with Linda, and then we'll go to Brady and then Bruce.
So this is our wrap up as well as answering that kind of question.
Yes, you can
Okay.
answer it if you'd like.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. Let's see, well, I do feel like I am very qualified. I've got a proven record of being impartial. And as far as impartial goes too, that's that recuse yourself if there's somebody that you shouldn't be hearing their case. And I have had one case where I recused myself, was a friend of a friend. It wasn't even my friend, but I still recused myself from the case. It was a civil case. And there's lots of good things that come from being a justice of the peace, but it can be very, very stressful. Have to make decisions sometimes that aren't the decision that we want to make, but it's what the law calls for. It's a great job for the county, or as a service to the county. And I appreciate that I've had that opportunity to do that.
Thank you. Brady?
Yeah, so being a small business owner and having a very strong work ethic, I'm ready to get in there and learn as much as I possibly can in a short amount of time and really do good for the community. When you are confronted with a case that you would probably have a friend, I would definitely think you would probably have to recuse yourself. I mean, in all honesty, friendships run deep, especially, with close friends. I mean, everybody has a bunch of friends throughout their lifetime, and a so-called friend, well, maybe not, but if it's a good friend, somebody that you definitely would consider, doing whatever for, yeah, you would have to recuse yourself and have somebody else make judgment on that. Thank you.
And Bruce.
As qualifications go, there's a commission at the Supreme Court that authorizes people such as me to sit as a judge pro tem. I've been through that. They authorized me both city court and justice court to be acting judge, plus my 40 some years of being an attorney. I know I'm very qualified. As far as conflicts of interest goes, they're regulated by law to a degree. And again, like Brady says, depends on the nature of the friendship. Recently, I was sitting on a city court case, and it was a criminal case. My stepdaughter turned out to be one of the witnesses. So in that situation, I had to disqualify myself, obviously. It's going to be factually driven. Generally, I would say if it's a real close friend, that'd be grounds for calling in another judge.
Thank you. Wrap up statements for commission candidates, and Steve, you'll go first.
Okay. No subject matter, huh? All right.
Years question.
You know, I like the 10 years question too. I want it to look pretty much like it does now. That's why I'm here. But I don't think anybody will argue with that sentiment. But you know, I have really enjoyed the last 6-7 years, despite some of the challenges. It's been a great learning opportunity. There are times when you feel as if you're in control of situations, and you're really not. There are times that you think you know this stuff cold, and you're usually pretty much wrong about that. There are times when you think you really have something to contribute in terms of expertise or knowledge. And then there are other times when you feel more like a man falling out of a tree. But overall, I would not have exchanged this for anything. I think this has been a great learning opportunity for me. I look forward to serving you for another term, and I would really appreciate your vote. Thanks.
Kelly?
Well, I guess I agree. I would like to see our county look like it does now. I think most people are pretty good stewards of their property. Most people I know are. So hopefully it'll still look like that in 10 years. I'd love to see my great grandkids enjoy what I've enjoyed, the rafting, hunting, fishing, hiking, camping. And I hope that I would be able to maybe come up with new ideas to generate revenue for the county, things we could do maybe at the fairgrounds, so on and so forth. Improve our roads for sure, and stay involved with the public and try and be there for the public. Like I say, be in where you can come and talk to me. And I hope you'll vote for me. Thank you.
And Mike?
I want to thank everybody for showing up. Anytime any of you want to talk, I would like to see that this office is open and people are available. I will always try and be available. I think that's something we got to do. The other thing is I am going to uphold the Constitution and all the laws, everything that goes along with what this is entailing. Yeah, I think this is a good group. I think hearing the questions, listening to them, that's not all the issues that are going on, but it's nice to know that people can get together and talk with each other and listen. So I will be there to listen. Thank you.
That will wrap up our evening. Candidates, thank you very much. You did a really nice job. Audience, thank you for your great questions and for taking the time to be out here. And thank you AAUW for making the candidate forum possible. Everybody get out there and vote. If there's any questions, The primary election is June 7th. Call the clerk and recorder's office if you've got any questions, 222-4110. Have a good evening, everybody.
I told her to make cookies.
What's that?